Northern Rhone. The name alone invokes a little mystique and intrigue, especially Cote Rotie. Cote Rotie stands for roasted hill, and some of the rarest, most contradictory wines and dangerous wines in the world come from this region. My name is John Alanis. I'm a certified sommelier, and in this video, I'm going to be telling you everything you need to know about the little-known wines of the Northern Rhone region so you can enjoy wines few people will ever know about. So, when it comes to Northern Rhone, let's talk a little bit about the geography. I always like to do geography, I like to do climate, and then I like to talk about the grapes. Why? If you know the geography and you know the climate, you know what's going to be in the glass. The Northern Rhone is very interesting because it's just south of Burgundy in France. And it has almost what would be called a continental climate. So it can be cool at night and it can be warm in the day. But the interesting thing about the Northern Rhone, particularly Cote Rotie, is the grapes don't ripen fully that often. So you don't get that many great vintages. But when you do, oh my God in heaven, they're vintages that are talked about, even featured in TV shows like Better Call Saul, because the wines are so amazing. So, one of the neat things about the geography of the Northern Rhone region is that the vineyards are on terraces, very steep slopes, very dangerous. Vineyard workers can often fall to their death, and so literally it almost looks like a cliff with vineyards with switchbacks on it. This is the only way to grow grapes in the Northern Rhone. Now, what you also get in the Northern Rhone is a wind called the Mistral, and it blows down from the north, and it's so powerful that the trees are bent over, and they actually have to tape up the top of the vines and make them look like teepees, or else the wind is going to uproot the vines. But Northern Rhone is a contradiction, because the Mistral giveth and the Mistral taketh. The Mistral may taketh some of the vines by blowing, but it also giveth because it blows out mildew, mold, disease, and humidity. And so when you think of Northern Rhone wines, think of contradictions, because now let's talk about my favorite part. Let's talk about the grapes. In the Northern Rhone, particularly the northernmost appellation, Cote Rotie, and Cote Rotie actually stands for roasted hill. There's only one red grape that can be grown by law, Syrah. Interestingly, there's one white grape that can be co-fermented with Syrah, and that is Viognier. Now, when you think about Northern Rhone, like I said, think about contradictions. How could co-fermenting a white grape with a red grape contribute to the red character of the wine? But it does. It actually makes it deeper, darker, smooths out the colors, and because Viognier is an aromatic wine with white flowers, it actually gives the Syrah an aromatic lift. Now, the interesting thing is you can actually blend up to 20% Viognier with the red Syrah. But in practice, you may see 3%, 5%, and often 0%. It's actually getting kind of rare these days, but it's a really neat thing. Now, let's talk about what I love about these wines from the Northern Rhone, particularly Cote Rotie. Like I said, think contradiction. What you get when you nose it, yeah, you get some fruit, you get some black fruit, some blackberry, maybe some red fruit, maybe a little bit of blueberry. But what you get normally, what you really get that makes these wines special is you get cured meats, bacon fat, prosciutto, a smokiness, an olive tapenade. How on God's green earth could you get cured meats from a wine? Well, the key is in the soil. And what you get is there's a yeast there called Brettanomyces. Sometimes in the Southern Rhone, it can show up as barnyard funk, horse sweat, stuff that doesn't sound very good. But in the Northern Rhone, it shows up in these wonderful cured meats. And so one of the great food pairings of the Northern Rhone is anything with bacon in it. You like cod? Cook it with bacon. You like eggs? Cook it with bacon. It pairs very well with the wines of Cote Rotie in Northern Rhone. Now, it doesn't stop there, though. Yeah, like I said, you get wonderful fruits in there. You get blackberries, you get a little bit of blueberry, maybe a little bit of black plum. You can also get some red fruits, you get some raspberry. But the other thing that you get is you also get black pepper. Why do you get black pepper? Well, because the chemical that is in the Syrah grape is called rotundone, is the exact same character that is in black pepper. So, when you're doing blind tasting and you want to find out if it's a Syrah grape, that's the thing that you look for. Is you look for overtures of black pepper. But wait, there's more. When we get into Cote Rotie, what we get that's just phenomenal is that there's two hills, Cote Brune and Cote Blonde. You get brunettes, you get blondes. And what you get in the Cote Brune is you get iron oxide in the soil. One could say that's rust, but what it comes across in these wines are blood. So literally they can be almost bloody wines. Now, when you think about this, it sounds like a contradiction. How could a wine that has cured meats, bacon fat, prosciutto, salami, olives, fruit, blackberry, blueberry, with black pepper all over and a little blood, how could this work? Well, let's find out. I have a beautiful bottle of one of the great producers of Cote Rotie, M. Chapoutier. This is La Miodore 2017, and you can actually drink some of the wines of Cote Rotie a little bit young. Some of them can age, some of them get better, but you can actually drink some of them a little bit young and thoroughly enjoy them. Now, here's the neat thing about Northern Rhone, now that you get included into it a little bit. These are small producers. They're producing only about 500 cases per year of these wines. Now, some of these wines are as good as some of the first growth Bordeaux's, and some of them can be even more expensive. But nobody really knows about them. And so you can actually go and you can find, even at Total Wine or a place like AOC Selections or Business, these wonderful wines that are just waiting to be plucked and drank that nobody really knows about because the Northern Rhone just doesn't get that much pub. So what I am going to do is I am going to open this bottle now. Enough talking. Let's drink some Cote Rotie. Got a little bit of a wax cap here. So we're just gonna power through and bust this off. There we go. In a previous video I made, there we go, a point about why you would want to use on your wine key, you have a point on it. This is one of the reasons. We have a hard wax seal, popped it right off, absolutely no problem. So we're gonna close it up. We're going to open our wine key, and now we're going to unlock our beautiful bottle of wine. I don't expect there to be any issues with this cork, but we're still going to go all the way in with our wine key because you never ever want to take any chances, particularly with a beautiful bottle, a hard to find bottle of Cote Rotie like this. This one goes for about 200 bucks here. So not $1,000, but certainly not cheap either. Oh, looks like we have a beautiful cork here. As you can see, cork looks good. We'll put it on our serviette. And I am going to taste this wine in a proper Riedel Syrah glass. As you can see, it's got sort of the tulip bulb shape to it, where it narrows on top. It's got a medium-sized ball on the bottom. Syrah is not a particularly aromatic wine, but what this does is this concentrates all those wonderful cured meats and iron oxide aromas. So let's see if we get it peppery, bloody, fruity. All right, I'll give that a swirl there. Beautiful looking wine. You can immediately tell it's old world by the color. It's not that horrible mega purple they put in some California wines. Oh, and there it is. Yeah, actually I get a little more olive than anything else on there. Get a little bit of cured meat. Yep, there it is. A lot of blackberry, a lot of that black pepper. This is a peppery wine. Oh, I think it's going to be fantastic. The meats are in the wine. Take a sip of that. It's pure, it's elegant, it's medium bodied. You get the pepper on the back end, you get it coming through your nose. But this features those cured meats, and right behind it, what do we get? We get that bloody character. Now, if you've ever watched the show Better Call Saul, there is an absolutely great scene at the very end with Gus Fring drinking a glass of wine before he makes his final decision to go off and seek revenge. He was drinking a Cote Rotie, a bloody wine, and as he tasted it, he decides to choose blood. One of the best wines you're ever going to drink, Cote Rotie from Northern Rhone. Enjoy.